All right, this got to be the fastest 15 minutes because the sun is going down on me. What is that, Elton John? Don't let the sun. Oh, I forgot I can't sing. That's why I became a DJ. Well, if I could sing, it would have been over with. I just don't want y'all to give up. Anyway, the fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. All right, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons for me because I need y'all to hit buttons just because they say that's what you're supposed to say. I read a book about how to do, and my rear view mirror is kind of like making this little thing over here, so that's what that is. Anyway, not a whole lot to talk about today because I said a lot yesterday, but I wanted to talk just briefly about the whole melanin issue. And I've been getting some clapback and some, everything about this whole thing. Now, remember I told y'all, the one thing that I told y'all is that melanin is the universe. The universe is made up of melanin. That's how come, like, people ask you, like, well, how can the sun shine? But, like, when you leave the atmosphere of the earth, all it is dark. It's like, it's all black out there, right? And I've tried, and they're like, but, there's, like, these pockets where you have planets, and the only thing that shines off the planets is what? Sun. The only reason why you can even see or detect that there are planets out there is because of the sun. And in the other universes that are out there, which there are other universes, so even the theory of the Most High and all of this, you have to understand that there's like a lot of different solar systems and a lot of universes. So because you can look out like on a very clear night, especially here in Arizona, you can go like out in the desert and you can like see everything. I mean, I've seen like shooting stars, meteors, all kinds of stuff, like looking at the heavens out here. So I guess what I'm trying to tell y'all is the universe is made out of melanin, and even your scriptures. I always go to your scriptures because you love them so much and y'all believe in them so much. But here's the thing. Okay, so from the ground you came, and from the ground you will return. Well, what is the ground? The ground is melanin, folks. And that's how come like rich people, that's why they steal human beings. That's why they steal black girls and black boys and everything like that. And they actually are cannibals and all that kind of stuff. Even though they tried to portray us as that in movies and all that kind of stuff, not true. Because we already contain the substance that is necessary that they're trying to get. So you can actually go and get melanin injections. If you find a doctor, you can get melanin injections and everything else. And so I was trying to explain to somebody like the whole human versus non-human thing. And so because they had this post, and the post was going on, and people were in there arguing and everything. And, so it kind of started to be a drag. And so I tried to explain to everybody, it's like the easiest test is that if you put a person in the sun, what happens to them? Do they turn into melanin, or do they burn and catch cancer and die, right? And I'm trying to explain to them, like, look, that's basically the test, okay? People that are melanated people, when you put them in the sun, what happens? They turn to melanin. They turn black. They get dark. That's what happens. So if you put me out in the sunlight, I'm going to get dark. That's all that's going to happen, all right? If you take somebody who is of the Caucasian persuasion and you put them out there, well, they're going to turn red. Then they're going to burn. And then they're going to be like really burn. And then their cancer is going to turn to, what's the name of it? Melatonin or whatever. And it's going to become cancerous and it'll kill them. Okay, my blackness is only going to make me stronger and give me more life. All right, so that's how come we had the whole thing about the children of the sun and all of this stuff, and and everybody tries to get, they want to get angry with you, but it's like, look, y'all, this stuff is real. It's a real thing, and it's like, I'm not trying to do or say anything, trying to turn these lights on just in case it gets dark or whatever. But you understand what I'm saying? So that's basically where everything comes from. And it's like, okay, so, and then they say, oh, well, y'all sun worshipers. No, we're not sun worshipers, but just listen to me, okay? Hear me out, and then you can cuss me out if you want to, but hear me out first, all right? First of all, everything comes from the sun. How do you okay, so you say you want to build a house. How do you make a house? Say you want to build a house out of lumber. How do you make the house? First, you got to have a tree. How do you get the tree? You got to plant a seed. Then what happens after you plant the seed? then it grows, right? And how does it grow? It needs air, it needs water, and it needs sun. Okay. Say you want to make the house out of brick, right? First thing you got to do is you got to get stuff. You got to get the elements from the earth. How did they get there? Sun. All right. Because it's melanin. So basically, everything comes from the earth. Everything. And that's why I used to always explain to people is that, look, the only way that you can build something is that you use the stuff that the Most High put on the earth. Okay, plants. Say you want to eat. Say you want to have a full course dinner or whatever it is, right? Okay, so you want this full course dinner. Okay, how do you get the vegetables? You plant them where? They grow out of and you need what? You need water and you need sunlight in order to grow those vegetables or whatever it is you're going to eat. And it can go on and on and on. But the one common denominator with everything that's on the earth is the sun. And once again, I'll tell you, if the sun does not rise in the east and set in the west every day, guess what? Because it's the only faithful thing on earth. It doesn't rain every day. It doesn't snow every day. There's not fire every day. The only thing that is consistent is what? In the universe is sun. That's the only thing. Everything else is taken from that, and and it's done in its whatever, it's transposed or whatever have you, right? That's the only thing. So the only thing. So when the scriptures talk about being faithful, being good and faithful every day, that's what it's talking about. The same thing with walking on the. And I know people. This is one that that gets put out there a lot. Walking on the water. The sun rising. That's the sun setting in the west, walking in the water, or seeing the sun come up if you're looking at the ocean. If you're looking at the ocean and you see the sun come up, that's what it looks like. It looks like the sun is sitting right there on the water, walking on the water. That's where they got these things from. They didn't, everybody thinks, it's like, oh, it's this divine, this super divine thing. And I mean, it is divine because it does happen consistently, but that's the only thing that happens consistently. The same thing with the ebb and flow of the moon and the other planets and all of that kind of stuff. And you got to admit there has to be a higher power or a higher authority, because if not, why doesn't Earth run into Mars and Mars run into Mercury and Mercury, Mars and Earth run into Saturn and everything, but they stay on their orbit. They don't leave their orbit. They stay right on their orbit around what? Around the sun. What is the day of your birth? The day of your birth is your solar return day, or the day you were born. Every time the Earth makes a complete rotation around the sun on the day of your birth, that's your birthday. It's nothing more, but you celebrate your birthday, but you don't say it's sun worship, but it actually really is sun worship. That's what it is. Because if you're celebrating your birthday, then you're celebrating the day that you have, basically orbited the sun one time. It takes 1 year, 365 days to orbit the sun. All right. So boom, there you have it. And everything else is all predicated on what? On the sun. There's no, I don't know. Y'all be making stuff up, or like when I read scriptures, or I read how people interpret scriptures, it's like some of the stuff is just like absolutely ridiculous, because 100% that it ain't what it's saying it is, but it's metaphoric or is allegorical. It's metaphorical or allegorical, and the same thing. Everything is about the zodiac, because that's all they had. So, I told y'all about Noah's Ark. The animals on the ark are the signs and the wonders in the heavens, because they named them after different things, after different animals, nature, because that's all they had. They didn't have all, y'all got all these buildings. See, it's like you build a foundation. Okay, so you build the foundation, then you start putting other stuff on top of it, on top of it, on top of it, on top of it, on top, and eventually you get this, this big mega superstructure. But the real deal is the foundation, because without the foundation, what happens? The whole superstructure will fall over. And so that's why I keep trying to explain to Africans and descendants of Africans that you have to claim Africa, because that is your foundation. If you don't claim your foundation, then I don't care what you build on top of it, it's going to crumble. It's going to collapse. All right, and that's basically what happens out here in the world. You know, Africans and descendants of Africans, they got so much stuff, so many doctrines, so much ideology, so much dogma, so much everything that is like ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like, go back to your roots, which is an African proverb. Go back to your roots. Stop trying to, insert yourself into other ideologies, into other religion and all this other stuff. Forget it, because it ain't yours. It's something that somebody else made up to enslave you and to capture you and keep your mind. So I tell you this one thing. So people walking around talking about who they are in the Bible and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, if y'all only knew who you were in the Bible, then you would stop tripping. You are the enemy of the Bible. You are all the enemies in the Bible, all of the curses in the Bible. They're you. Until you decide to break them, and until you decide not to live underneath them, they're you. That's what they really are. Even when it comes down to stuff, I was talking to my wife about this whole thing about the viruses. Just like we started viruses and viral warfare. Back, one of the most famous ones was the curse of King Tut, right? The curse of King Tut's tomb. And remember, all of the white folks that went into King Tut's tomb, every single one of them died. All right. So after a while, people didn't want to mess with King Tut. They was like, hey, something to this dude. This dude is like dead, and he killing more people dead than he ever did when he was alive. True. And then finally, it took like 100 years almost for them to discover that it was a virus. It was viral warfare. They had painted the walls and everything of the tomb with spores. You know how y'all look at the coronavirus now, they got the little spores or whatever, and then the stuff goes down into your throat and it goes on your lungs. Well, that's what it was. They had planted all these, they had basically painted the walls with these viral spores that they created. It's poison. And so everybody that went down, they were little tiny spores. So everybody that went down into the tomb, or everybody who tried to get in touch with anything, and they couldn't understand why the workers and the black people who went around the tomb weren't dying, but they were. So I'm trying to tell y'all, this stuff is not, stuff didn't just start. But if you don't know the root of it, if you don't know who you are and whose you are, then you fall for anything. You don't know, and the Europeans, they made up all kind of stuff because they didn't have a recorded history. They had no recorded history, and the only recorded history they had, they wanted to get rid of it because they didn't want people to know they were cave dwellers and were uncivilized, and that black people had to come and civilize them, our brothers the Moors. So. So stop it with all the craziness and this, that, that thing. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. And dudes be wearing these dudes be walking around. I'm not mad at you, but dudes be walking around wearing costumes and all kinds of stuff. And I just look at it, I'm like, bruh, find out, because this is the thing. Kemet, Kush, and Ethiopia, they had, especially Kemet, they had the first languages, the first alphabets, the first, ways of communication. Everything was all Kemetic. So how all of a sudden now everything else is going to become more popular than that? That's all I'm saying. And we go around, just like I always see that meme up there. It says, a white man tell you something, you're listening, you're all ears. A black man tell you something, the first thing you say, oh, there you go, talking that black stuff again. Well, the reason why I'm talking the black stuff again is because, unfortunately, the white man actually listened to the black stuff, and that's why he's ruling the world right now. He's ruling the world based on Freemasonry principles that he stole from black people in Kemet. That's how they're ruling the world, based on the Freemason principles that were stolen from Kemet and stolen from Ethiopia. That's what they're using. They're using that wisdom and that knowledge in order to do it, and that's it. Everything else is just basically a crock of BS. That's all it is. So anyway, that's going to do it. Fast 15 minutes is up. Like I said, get some real wisdom, some real knowledge. We love you, and bye.